very good evening and welcome to the news at 6 here on Rajya Sabha. I'm Tracy Fulci, and in the next 30 minutes I'll be getting you the day's top developing stories. Let's start with the headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi holds talks with the Malaysian leadership, praises efforts to de-link religion from extremism. The Joint Parliamentary Committee meeting on Land Bill is inconclusive. Deadline has been extended by the panel by 3 weeks to submit its report. Non-performing asset levels at unacceptable levels, says Finance Minister Arun Jaitley after meeting chiefs of PSU banks. Claims recent sector-specific announcements will mitigate crisis. Tamil Nadu gets 940 crore rupees assistance to combat flood damage, but the state government pegs the damage at 8,500 crores. 169 people have died so far since October 1st. And lockdown continues in Brussels for the second day. 16 people have been arrested in a joint police and military cooperation since Sunday night. The prime suspect of Paris attacks still absconding. All right, our top story this evening. Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrived in Singapore on Monday in his final stop of the Southeast Asia tour. He's currently delivering the 37th Singapore lecture.
The emergence of India as the fastest growing major economy in the world is less important than what is more enduring. The wheels of change are moving. Confidence is growing. Resolve is stronger and the direction is clearer. And it is spreading across the nation at the most distant village and the farthest citizen begin to join the mainstream of national economy. Distinguished guests, India and Singapore have been together at many crossroads of time. Our relationship is written in the pages of history, the footprints of culture, the ties of kinship, and the old connection of commerce. We stood together in friendship at the dawn of freedom, and we reached out to each other in a partnership of shared hopes. Singapore's success became an inspiration of Indians. And in turn, India became the hope for a more peaceful, balanced, and stable world. As India opened itself, Singapore became India's springboard to the world and gateway to the East. No one worked harder for it, and no deserves more credit for it than Emeritus Senior Minister Goh Chok Tong. He reconnected India to Singapore and the region. Today, Singapore is one of our most important partners in the world. It is a relationship that is as strategic as it is wide-ranging. We have comprehensive defense and security relations. It flows out of shared interests and a common vision. Singapore holds regular exercise with end in India. Singapore is the biggest investment source and destination for India in the world. The world's most connected nation to India, the largest training partner in Southeast Asia, and a popular destination for tourists and students. Now, as we build the India of our dreams, Singapore is already a major partner in the enterprise. World-class human resources, smart cities, clean rivers, clean energy, or next-generation sustainable infrastructure. Starting from the first IT park in Bengaluru, it now includes the newest state capital in India, Amravati in Andhra Pradesh. Our partnership will expand as our economies grow and the framework of trade and investment improves further. But I have always seen Singapore is loftier terms. Singapore's success in overcoming odds leads me to seek a partnership that addresses the challenges of 21st century, from food and water to clean energy and sustainable habitats.
Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, they're talking about the India-Singapore story. He, of course, reached Singapore earlier today after that three-day Malaysia visit. And in fact, just earlier today, he did meet the Malaysian leadership. Terrorism, which has dominated every multilateral or bilateral summit-level meetings after the deadly Paris attacks, was also taken up by both the leaders. Modi also congratulated Malaysia on combating extremism by delinking it with religion and highlighting the true values of Islam.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi praised the Malaysian leadership for combating extremism and radicalization by delinking it from religion. He said the recent attacks in different countries are a reminder of the global nature of this threat.
Mr. Prime Minister, you have provided leadership in combating extremism and radicalization, rejected any link between terrorism and religion, and in highlighting the real values of Islam. This is a great contribution to an important aspect of our global efforts against the challenges.
Modi also praised Malaysian competence in infrastructure and sought more investment in India.
I express our desire to see the enhanced Malaysian participation in areas such as expansion and upgradation of infrastructure, Make in India and Smart Cities projects.
Malaysian Prime Minister Nazir Rajak assured Malaysian help to India in combating militancy and Paris Climate Change Conference.
We will work closely together to defeat violent extremism and terrorism. And in the light of the climate change conference in Paris, we will also work closely together to try to make a deal happen, but a deal which is fair for both the developing world as well as for the advanced economies.
Economic and commercial relations are the cornerstone of the Indo-Malaysian bilateral relationship. Malaysia is the third largest trading partner for India within ASEAN, while India is the largest trading partner for Malaysia from among the countries of the South, excluding China. Trade between India and ASEAN was 76.52 billion in 2014-15. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, our correspondent Akhilesh Suman is in fact has been tracking all these developments in Kuala Lumpur, joining us now live from there. Akhilesh, Prime Minister Modi wrapping up that three-day Malaysia visit. Could you give us some of the highlights of that?
Actually, it was a very interesting trip as far as Malaysia was concerned, because Prime Minister, instead of whatever announcement, where 3 MOUs have been signed. One MOU is on monitoring of development, infrastructure development. Second is on cultural issues, cultural exchanges and cultural assimilations. And third is on cyber security related issues. But other than that, Malaysian Prime Minister has assured Prime Minister Narendra Modi to support India's candidature permanent membership in UN Security Council. Till now, Malaysia has not agreed for that, but now Malaysia has theoretically agreed for that. And second thing is that defense cooperation between the two countries. And there are talks about defense cooperation, defense production. And in that, India wants to engage with Malaysia as far as Malaysian capital is concerned. And if there is a requirement for technology, India and Malaysia can join together with any third country for Make in India. So Malaysia agrees on this proposal. And immediately, for immediate purposes, even if Malaysia will have to go the international bidding process, but for special projects, India has assured Malaysia that it will go through government-to-government route, and in that way there is no meaning of bidding and there will be no use of bidding, and it will not be have to involve in bidding processes. So I think it is good for Malaysia and it is good for India, because if India wants quick response from Malaysia, they will be coming very soon. And there is a proposal for National Convention Center to be made in India, and I think Malaysia has agreed for that to make it as soon as possible. That's what it is.
All right, Akhilesh Suman wrapping up that visit for us. Thanks so much for joining us for the moment. Meanwhile, let's head on to national news now. And the Joint Parliamentary Committee on the Land Acquisition Bill has unanimously decided to ask for more time to submit its report. The JPC would ask the Parliament to extend its term for 3 weeks. The committee had on Monday, just 3 days before the winter session of Parliament is to begin, asked this. And according to sources, members of the Congress and the Trinamool Congress said that any meeting of the JPC was useless until the government cleared its stand on the pending land bill in Rajya Sabha. These members also said that Prime Minister Narendra Modi had announced in his radio program Mann Ki Baat that the government was not pushing this bill anymore. The JPC is examining 14 contentious clauses of the land bill on which there is no consensus yet. Meanwhile, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley today met the chairman and MDs of public sector banks and financial institutions. He reviewed steps taken by the government and the central bank to improve their asset quality. Jaitley said that the government has been proactive in taking measures to address problems in the stressed sectors.
Calling bad debts of banks a legacy issue, the finance minister is confident that banks can win their battle against willful defaulters. According to him, the imminent bankruptcy law will only empower them further. Gross NPAs of public sector banks rose to 6.03% in June 2015. They were 5.2% in March 2015. In August, the government announced 70,000 crore capital infusion in PSBs over 4 years, starting with 25,000 crore this fiscal.
Series of steps which the Reserve Bank has announced, which some of the banks have been implementing, will certainly improve on the quality of those assets. Additionally, the government also has been extremely proactive in responding to each of the sectors.
Jaitley also reviewed credit offtake by sectors like home, education and corporates, the Jan Dhan Yojana and Prime Minister's social security schemes.
The banking system, which is the lifeline of the economy, continues to fund various segments of the economy in order to grow. Now that the growth rates are somewhat picking up, and therefore the pressures of the past need to be removed as far as possible.
The government also has plans to sell shares in state-run companies when the market improves. It could raise about $14.4 billion by reducing stake in state-run banks to 52%. But so far, the government is struggling to meet its asset sale targets to plug its deficit. Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV.
In other news, Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi held a Kisan Padyatra today in UP Saharanpur district. Ahead of the winter session of Parliament, Gandhi met sugarcane farmers of the area who are yet to receive their dues to show solidarity with them. Rahul Gandhi also took on Prime Minister Narendra Modi, alleging that his promised Achhe Din are yet to come for farmers and labourers. Sugarcane farmers in Saharanpur have suffered in recent times with the closure of several sugar mills.
हिंदुस्तान को प्रगति करनी है तो रोजगार की जरूरत है, किसानों को मदद करने की जरूरत है, मजदूरों को मदद करने की जरूरत है। मैं चाहता हूं कि प्रधानमंत्री वो काम करें, उनके लिए इस काम के लिए उनको इलेक्ट किया गया है। मैं चाहता हूं कि चीफ मिनिस्टर जी ये काम करें, उसके लिए उनको भी इलेक्ट किया।
Well, the Congress Vice President's Padyatra comes just a day after industry body ASSOCHAM claimed that prices of sugar could rise from early next year. This as production targets are expected to fall. ASSOCHAM says that this indicates that farmers are shifting to other crops amid rising cane arrears.
The deficient monsoon is almost certain to force a sugar shortage now. Output is expected to dip to 27 million tons in 2015-16, 5% lower than 28.31 million tons produced in 2014-15. Sugarcane production was estimated at 28 million tons in July. Industry body ASSOCHAM estimates that an El Nino impact could adversely affect cane production next year as well. Not only that, given the present aggressive sugar export strategy, the declining production is expected to put pressure on prices from 2016.
Farmers are not getting their due on a regular basis, and therefore the farmers are increasingly switching over to other cash crops rather than the sugarcane. And that will become a worrying factor over a period of time, in another few months' time.
Experts want the government to take into account domestic needs and availability to ensure that current low prices don't go the way pulses and onion have.
Sugar prices do not determine the prices of sugarcane alone. There is molasses, there is press mud, there's bagasse. Bagasse, you have electricity these days, you have paper, molasses, you have liquor.
India is already facing a huge shortage of vegetable oil and pulses. Now, with sugar also joining in, the recurring failure of monsoon is expected to add to the overall inflationary pressure. This is Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
The northeast monsoon has left a trail of destruction in Tamil Nadu, with the state government pegging losses at a whopping 8,481 crore rupees. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has ordered an immediate release of 940 crore rupees in central assistance to the state, just hours after Chief Minister Jayalalitha urged the Prime Minister to release 2,000 crores to sustain relief work. In a letter to the Prime Minister, she said that 169 lives have been lost in rain-related incidents since the 1st of October. She detailed the extent of the damage in a letter, saying that despite the state government's preventive efforts, the people have suffered. Her government has allocated 500 crores for relief work so far. She's also requested that a central team be deputed immediately to make an on-the-spot assessment of the damage so that the central aid could be released without any delays. With that, let's take you through some more updates from across the country and nationwide. Delhi Chief Minister and Aam Aadmi Party convener Arvind Kejriwal today claimed that his party was not in the race for the 2017 elections in Punjab. He also insisted that his party's aim was to tackle corruption. The party's national executive met today amid protests by some members who claimed that they were not invited. RJD Chief Lalu Prasad's son Tejaswi Yadav today took charge as Bihar's PWD Minister in Patna, while Congress MLA Ashok Chaudhary attended office as the new Education Minister of the state. Tejaswi was appointed the Deputy Chief Minister on Friday. He also holds 3 portfolios in the new Bihar cabinet. 7 people, including a woman pilot, were killed when a helicopter carrying them to Vaishno Devi crashed in Jammu's Katra district. The helicopter returning from Sanji Chat belonged to the privately run Himalayan Heli Services that runs services for the Char Dham Yatra. 4 unidentified militants were killed in 2 separate encounters in Kupwara and Anantnag districts of Kashmir. A search operation is still in progress in Siligam village. Meanwhile, security forces killed a militant while efforts are on to flush out his accomplices from the forest in Kupwara. Union Minister Sadhvi Niranjan Jyoti triggered a controversy in Kolkata, claiming that state governments are responsible for banning cow slaughter. West Bengal is one of the states that does not restrict cow slaughter. With that, a quick break here, but more news follows. Do stay with us.
सहारनपुर में राहुल गांधी, किसानों के हक की उठाई आवाज, प्रधानमंत्री पर साधा निशाना। देखिए पहली खबर, सहारनपुर में राहुल गांधी, शाम 7 बजे।
Welcome back. Now, India is objecting to US Secretary of State John Kerry, terming it as a challenge at the upcoming Paris climate meet. Environment Minister Prakash Javadekar said that the remarks are not only unwarranted, but far from the truth. In an interview to Rajya Sabha TV, Javadekar told senior journalist M.K. Venu that India had always tried to be a part of the solution and has made active efforts to forge a consensus on the global stage to fight climate change.
Ahead of the Paris Climate Conference, India is hotly contesting remarks by the US Secretary of State John Kerry that its government is reluctant to accept a bigger role in addressing global warming. In an interview to Rajya Sabha TV, Prakash Javadekar said that on the contrary, India has not only emerged as a key player on climate change, but has also been globally appreciated for its initiatives.
आज भारत को एक प्रमुख ताकत के रूप में यानी पेरिस समझौता ठीक हो, इसके लिए एक प्रमुख भागीदार के रूप में देखा जाता है, न कि नकारात्मक। अमेरिका के विदेश मंत्री ने अभी बयान दिया कि भारत शायद समस्या हो सकता है, तो ये अनावश्यक था.
Calling the present situation a result of emissions that have taken place over a period of 150 years, the Union Minister says that despite the fact that India is not part of the problem, it is sparing no efforts to be a catalyst in finding a solution.
We are saying that though we are not part of the problem, we want to be part of solution, and therefore we are networking all developing world and even making dialogue with all developed world, so that we arrive at an amicable solution in Paris.
The Paris Climate Conference is slated to take place from 30th of November to 11th of December. The meeting will aim to achieve a legally binding and universal agreement on climate with an overall objective of keeping global warming below 2 degrees Celsius. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, you can watch that entire interview with Environment Minister Prakash Javadekar here on Rajya Sabha TV at 10:30 p.m. tonight. Meanwhile, let's head on to international news. And Brussels continued to remain in lockdown mode on Monday, even after the authorities announced that 16 people had been arrested in a joint police and military operation on Sunday night. The police, however, to nab the prime suspect of the Paris attacks so far. Here's a report.
Soldiers continued to patrol the streets of Brussels on the third day of a security lockdown on Monday and the 10th day of a manhunt for the suspected mastermind of the November 13 Paris attacks. The suspect, Belgian national Salah Abdeslam, has not been found despite 19 raids and 16 arrests overnight. Authorities also warn of possible imminent attacks similar to the one in Paris, where 130 people were killed.
Until now, no firearms or explosives were found. Salah Abdeslam is not among the persons arrested during the searches.
The city of 1.2 million will remain on the fourth and highest level of security threat, which essentially means that the threat of an attack was serious and imminent.
L'organe qui analyse la menace, l'OCAM, a confirmé dans le courant de la soirée un niveau 4 sur une échelle de 1 à 4 pour ce qui concerne la région de Bruxelles. Il s'agit donc du plus haut niveau de menace.
Brussels metro, museums and schools, several shops and cinemas stayed shut in the usually bustling European Union capital, where many staff will work from home.
Là, pour le moment, je ne peux pas trop leur expliquer puisque l'école est fermée, donc il n'y a pas les enfants. Mais je pense que quand on leur explique, il faut trouver des mots à eux. On ne peut pas leur expliquer avec des mots d'adultes, mais des mots d'enfants pour leur expliquer que bon, bah, c'est comme ça.
Je suis totalement inquiet parce que ça fait quand même 20 ans que j'habite à Bruxelles et j'ai jamais eu ça, marcher dans la rue. On m'a arrêté tantôt pour me dire que ça serait bien de ne pas marcher dans la rue maintenant, aujourd'hui, quoi. Donc,
Amid rising tensions, British Prime Minister David Cameron and French President François Hollande are slated to meet in Paris. They will discuss counter-terror operations and the fight against the IS in the wake of the horrific Paris attacks. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
And now let's head to the US, where another shocking incident of violence was reported on Sunday. At least 16 people were hospitalized after a shooting broke out in a New Orleans park. Here's a report.
16 people were injured in a shootout in a New Orleans playground on Monday. The horrific incident unfolded when two groups opened fire on each other, endangering about 600 people watching a music video shoot. Witnesses said at least 2 gunmen shot into the crowd and both groups ran off immediately after the gunfire. The New Orleans mayor urged people to come forward with information about the gunmen.
At the end of the day, it's really hard to police against a bunch of guys that decide to pull out guns and settle their disputes with 300 people in between them. That's just not something that you can tolerate in the city. And, again, at the end of the day, it's going to require the people who were in this park to basically say they had enough and they're not going to put themselves in harm's way and to give us information so that the police can do their job.
There was scheduled to be a video filming or video shoot, however you want to call it, here at the playground. The information was probably circulated through social media, and there were hundreds of people, upwards of 500 people, probably in this playground when this erupted. It was an unpermitted, unplanned thing, so we did not know about it until we learned that these people were in the playground, and our officers were then dispatched to come and remove them from the playground.
US President Barack Obama has expressed concern over such incidents. This is the latest in a series of random shootouts. In fact, a study claims there are more chances of dying in such incidents in the US than any other crime. Almost 90 incidents of gunfire take place every year. That's nearly 1 in 3 of 292 such incidents globally between 1966 and 2012. And in more than half of these cases, the shooter had more than one firearm. The report also suggests the United States has more guns than any other country, which is an estimated 270 million to 310 million firearms in circulation in America for a population of 318.9 million. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And that's all we have for you on the news at 6. Thanks so much for joining us.